everybody. Welcome, rays of sunshine, and everybody. Soul Path Warriors, forgive me, I'm making sure my microphone's working because it's not doing that little green flashy thingy. So I'm going to introduce you to somebody. I have been somewhat up all night with my new little friend that I will call Moon. This little kitten showed up in my yard. And I told the kids lately, I'm like, we had been thinking about getting a cat for a little while because we've lost some animals on the journey. It was really sad. And this stray kitten, and I'm talking tiny little kitten, showed up in our yard. It was on the side of our yard and in the back of our yard. And I was told the kids, yeah, right, you can't catch that. You know, if you can catch it, we can keep it. But they go out there and his eyes were crusted, closed pretty much. He couldn't see. He wasn't able to navigate very well, and he was super tiny, and so they ended up catching the cat. So I'm like, why is this wing wonky? Let's see. Yeah, I think you can hear me. So I'm going to introduce, he's literally asleep on me right now. Can you see that? He's so tiny. I'm going to introduce you to Moon. That's what we keep calling him. So I did 2 healings on him. He's so tiny. He's sleeping. So tiny. I did 2 healing sessions on him, and it turns out the goop, I was thinking maybe upper respiratory infection, but when I went in and did the healing, I kept hearing feline distemper. So his eyes are still pretty goopy. He's like, what are you doing? I was sleeping so good. This little guy's so lovey. He's so tiny. Like when you touch him, it's just bones, but now his tummy's getting bigger. He's been eating. So he took to food right away. He was starving. He acted like he was starving. He's actually taken to the litter box okay. So he's not incapable. He has a will to thrive. But when I did the healings, I was a little surprised because I kept hearing feline distemper. And we did some research about, look, he's just sleeping in my hands. We did some research about it, and one of the symptoms is upper respiratory infection, eye goopies. So I did a couple healings on him. His kidneys, his liver, his spinal fluid was cleared. A little DNA healing, they said. What else did we do, Moon? His eyes, and especially in through his right ear into his eye. Into the nasal cavity got cleansed a lot, and even his blood was detoxed. And that's what came out in the healing that I did. So ever since then, he's like totally different kitten. Like at first he was really lethargic, very goopy, couldn't see. Let me clean his eyes, loved it, acted like I was his mommy. And then at like 1 in the morning, he gave me love like I've never had before. It was so sweet. So even though I'm introducing you to my new friend, we keep calling him Moon. Spirit said it's a boy. And he's definitely a boy, but we keep calling him Moon, so welcome, Moon. My dog is not happy, though. I don't know what I'm going to do. She tried to, like, bite him. So I'm having to keep them separated a lot. She's PO'd. She's really not happy about it. My dog, Angel, is a pure white Pomsky. She's half Husky, half Pomeranian, and so that's been a struggle. How I'm going to get him to the vet, I'll have to work that out, but so far, he's staying. He's really cute. He's super lovey. When I woke up in the middle of the night to check on him, he was just so lovey. Like cuddles and loves, and oh, he's just so cute. And my daughter sewed him a toy. We were making him toys by hand because that's how we roll around here. She sewed him a little mouse on a string, and he loves it. And I'll show you the picture. It'll be on probably the thumbnail. He was cuddling his little mouse and the little teddy bear she gave him that's bigger than his head. And he's so cute. So welcome, Moon. This little tiny thing. Spirit said he's 5 weeks. That's what came out in the healing, is that he's 5 weeks old. So haven't been able to take him to the vet yet. I'll have to work that out through funding, but he's just super cute, huh? Okay. So the video today, minus introducing you to my little Moon here, you can go back to sleep, little guy, sorry, is going to be about invocations of angels, spirit, how to connect to spirit easily, and also how to communicate with spirit. So I wasn't able to write anything down. It's all in me, so I'm going to do my best to make sure I cover all topics, okay? So it's a discussion today, and if you hear the bird sounds, He actually slept really well to the bird noises, so he's used to being outside. But Spirit called forth a little video about invocations. Plus, I've been doing Angel Mondays where I call forth an angel. An angel comes forth every Monday to bring us healing and a message. And so I want to talk about how to invoke any angel, right? Any angel really will be the same kind of invocation. And communicate with Spirit. How does Spirit communicate generally? How do we hear Spirit? How do we connect with our higher self? Okay? So that's what today is about. I'm rocking. The mama bear in me just comes out, and he's just so cute sleeping on me right now. I'll try not to be distracted by Moon. It was unexpected, but quite a blessing nonetheless. It was a lot to deal with last night, but seems healthy. Anyways, so angels, angels are the one thing that is relative across all religions, right? And I told you on Mondays I've been doing angel invocations, but I keep forgetting to tell you how to invoke the angels, and each one might have a specific invocation that you can use. Some people go all out, like you have to have a certain color candle and on a certain day of the week. Really, none of that is truly necessary if you are an open channel, okay? So communicating with Spirit has a lot to do with getting out of our own way, okay? That's number one. Why can some people seem to communicate with Spirit and others can't? It's simply because, first of all, they believe, because if you don't believe, you're going to block it anyways. If you throw shade at it, you're going to block it. If you're not generous in spirit, you're going to block it. Okay? So if you don't believe and you're mocking it or kind of making fun of it, then why are you doing it anyways? Right? So those generally will block you. The only one that can block you is truly you. Okay? Number one. Anybody can truly do it. To what level you can do it depends upon how much shadow you have, right? Or how much your heart is open. Communication with Spirit is not just through our crown or our third eye chakras. Those are important, and Claire's as well. But our heart space is very important in communicating with Spirit. If your heart is closed off, if you are not focused in the heart space, you're going to struggle communicating with Spirit. That is the number one place we cut ourselves off. Okay? Our heart was closed and our mind is overactive. So number one. Okay? Invocations can happen across the board for all the angels. And as I said, angels are the one thing that is truly consistent across all forms of religion, all forms of beliefs. They carry through all of them. And when I had my awakening, I literally remember seeing Athena in my mind's eye, Goddess Athena, and I could see her vividly, and I was like, who is that? So I would see beings people weren't aware of and lots of angelic presence and stuff, and I had to learn what that was and allow Spirit to tell me. So Spirit can teach you, but that's when you truly surrender, right? Most people have a hard time surrendering, giving up control, giving up the logical mind, giving up expectations. That's another thing. So we have a world that depicts angels as human-esque, right? They give him human traits, and he's dreaming in my hands, y'all. They depict him as a human, or them as a human being type entity, and that is far from the truth. There are a few of them who've been on earth before, right? Malachi is a saint. He was once alive. I do believe Archangel Sandalphon, I believe, at one time was alive as well. So there have been a few angels, very few, who walked amongst the earth in the lower frequency world. Back when Atlantis was here and everything, way back in the beginning of time, it was the planet of the gods, right? Angels and gods frequented. That's where we lived. We were frequently here. It was only when that was kind of changed and the frequency of the earth shifted that we became separate from our soul self, separate from the angels, separate from Spirit, detached, separation. Okay? So that's what the Matrix likes to do, is bring in separation, cut you off from who you are as a soul, from who you are in the spirit level. And it's not truth. Okay? So I'm going to slow down just to make sure I cover all over it and I'm not like boop, 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 because I was kind of up all night with this little kitten called Moon that's in my hand. Y'all, whew, okay. Anyways, my brain's on overload, so I want to make sure I get all details. Oh, did I wake you? Oh, it's so cute. He's just cuddled in my hand. Ah, with his little teddy bear. That's his little teddy bear. You see how little this thing is, you guys? It's bigger than his head. He's so cute. Oh, okay. So, in order to connect with spirit, we must understand what detaches us from that world, from the ability to connect, because it is only through you that you block it. Everything can only happen through you, not to you. So here's the thing about spirit, your higher self, the angels, is you are here living a human experience, right? So they will not bypass your free will. They cannot. If it's through God, they never will do that. You have to request their connection. You have to start seeking inward even to have an awakening. Okay, we have to detach from the external, start seeking inward, and that's where you're going to truly start finding spirit as well. Because God is not external. You will not find him in a building. You will find him in your heart space. So that is why the way we connect to spirit is through the heart space. Okay? The new earth is heart-centered. It's God's earth. Okay? Again, they've returned. That's the whole return of Christ. That's the whole ascension, is the return of the gods. Everyone connecting back to the heart center, the all-seeing, all-connectedness. Okay? So the matrix separated us from that, made us think that we were separate from spirit, made us think that we were separate from the angels and that we were separate from God. And they made us start seeking externally to find these things. Okay? And that's false. You will never find anything externally. When you are focused internally, the spirit uses certain waves of communication. Okay? One that people are very much well aware of is synchronicities. They just don't always know how to use them properly. Okay? So how does spirit communicate with you? Because chances are they already have been and you don't even know it. Some of you might. Some of you probably connect to spirit already. But for those who don't, may not even realize that spirit's already been connecting with you. And you may not even know it. Okay? They've already been trying to guide you. People are familiar with the term synchronicities. They know numbers mean something. They know numbers are telling them something, generally speaking. And at least they know that it's showing them that, hey, I'm doing something right. Ooh, I had a restricted phone call for like 2 split seconds and then it hung up. I don't do restricted. Anyways. Okay, so what detaches us from spirit, number one, is the term separation. That's what the matrix wanted to do to you, was separate you from all things that you are. Okay, because you are a part of spirit. The angels serve God. We're all connected. Okay? So you are a part of spirit. Can there be imposters? There have been, yes. Spiritually speaking, there's been a lot of shadow, just like in every other part of our reality. Okay? So there are things of lies out there, and you can only see past or up to your shadow. Where you have shadow in the heart, we can't see past that. We have to heal that to see more. Okay? Expectations block you from seeing spirit, from hearing spirit, from connecting to spirit. So you have to clear these. You have to realize there is no separation. I truly am capable. Okay? If you can get there, you're already on the right path. Okay? If you realize that you are the only one who separates you, that disconnects you from spirit, you're already on the right path. What disconnects us from spirit is anything outside of love. Okay, judgments, ego, fear, greed, separation, lack. All of those will disconnect you from spirit. You disconnect yourself from spirit. That's through free will. Okay, spirit can only come through if we invoke their presence. You can invoke it in many ways without even knowing it sometimes. Okay, but you're aligning to it, so you're invoking it. Okay? Things can only come through when we are ready to see them and know them also. because it aligns with what we can see and process and understand and the totality of ourselves. So spirit does not work to scare you, overwhelm you, or cause fear or struggle. You are the ones who do that. Okay? Spirit will never say, oh, this is going to be tough. No. We're the only ones who make it tough. This is true. Okay? So, in order to start to connect to spirit, you want to let go of what separates you from spirit. And I'm rocking because if you don't know by now, I'm holding this precious little tiny kitten named Moon. We're calling him Moon. And he's just a little baby, and so the mama and me is like rocking, and he's sleeping with the rocking. So that's what I'm doing. I'm his mama, I guess. He's dreaming. His little paws are going doo 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 doo. So cute. Anyways, the matrix likes to keep us external. Medications will disconnect you from spirit. Drugs will disconnect you. I don't want the argument, well, that's not true because we do psychedelics to connect to spirit. And what about ayahuasca? I'm very well of these things. When I was a kid, I was given acid and it freaked me the F out. I did shrooms once, but I stopped when I was 15 years old. That is not the same as connecting to spirit. Can you see things without the limitation of the eye? Yeah, it kind of does open things up sometimes. That's why they will use like these microdosing things. But I'm going to tell you right now, in order to truly, purely connect to spirit, you can't do it using those things. Because you might get a glimpse, you might get a moment, but you're also getting something else when you're doing those things. Okay? Ayahuasca, I would only recommend it once. They actually said my oldest needed it because he had a hard time opening his heart space, but I wasn't able to bring him to that space. So there's been a little bit of a disconnect there with spirituality through him because he has a hard time in his heart space connecting to it. So it's harder to see God. It's harder to see spirit otherwise. So, but if I were to do ayahuasca, he's an adult. But if he was to do that, he can only do it once, and then we have to remove any negativity. Okay? So, can you use substances to connect to spirit? You might have an experience, but it's not a pure one. And it's not one you can continue replicating without the substance, unless you know how to do it without the substance. Okay? So, it's not recommended by spirit. It's not a true connection. You don't need substances to connect to spirit. That's an illusion. And those substances carry dark entities, energies. They just do. It opens you up to gateways that you may not want to be open to, and you may not know how to close. You may not be able to read the difference between the darkness and the light, and so you leave yourself vulnerable and susceptible when you use substances to connect to spirit. Okay? So, whenever I hear people going, yeah, I like to do microdosing for people to help them on a spiritual journey, you're on a whole different journey than I've ever been on. Okay, I connect to spirit naturally, and that's the way you want to do it. You want to do it in you, okay? Medications also disconnect you from spirit. I don't care if it's life-saving. I don't care what you want to tell me. I'm not here to argue that with you. I am not a doctor. I've had some medical school years ago, and then I went into psychology. I have a psych degree. And then I'm even taking that further right now a little bit to kind of accommodate with what I do. But in the healer that I am, okay, I will tell you right now that even marijuana cuts you off from spirit in a lot of ways. Okay, because it's a place where you give your power away. It's all a part of the false reality. It's not a real one. We should be already innate in these things. These things should occur naturally through us, through light and energy, and substances are dense. Okay? Medications block you. A lot of medications block your receptors to feeling, and we have to feel. We have to use our senses to be able to connect to spirit. So even when our emotions are compounded, we can't fully hear spirit. So that's why it's so important to heal wounds. The shadow will use your wounds against you. Our emotions become overwhelming and we can't read them clearly. We can't hear them clearly. They're part of one of our senses. Energy and motion, emotion, vibration, emotion, vibration, energy and motion. Okay? So our emotions is the health problem, not our mental health. The problem that we have with our mental health is that we're always in our head. Okay? We became detached from our body. We became detached from our emotional flow, which is our energy flow, which is our connection to spirit. I always hear people talking about all their wounds, all their grief, and they don't want to heal it. You're not going to rise if you don't. Are you ever fully healed? It's not about being fully healed. It's about not being controlled. It's about not giving our power away to anything outside of love. And it's about being able to flow clearly, to be able to hear our bodies clearly and the messages in which it gives us, because we're not just a brain. Our brain is only one little component of who we are. I would say our brain should only be 25% of the totality of what we can do. The rest comes from our body. Okay, about 75% body, 25% brain. That's our key formula right there. 100% heart. Is that a true formula? 100% heart, 75% body, 25% brain. That's your spiritual formula, okay? 100% heart, 25% body. I'm sorry, 75% body, 25% brain. Maybe 15% brain. Because the more we calm our brain, the more we can connect to spirit. That's why meditation it's necessary. Okay? When we meditate, we allow our brain to get into the alpha, theta, delta waves. And in those is where we can tune out of the external and into the internal, tune into spirit. Okay? So that's important. If you can't meditate, it's not that you can't. It's that all your power has been given to your brain, your external. When you can't meditate, you can't connect with spirit clearly. If you are connecting to spirit, you don't even know if you're fully connecting to spirit or what you're connecting to. Could be your ego. Mostly it is your ego if you're in your head. Okay, so if your head's what's guiding you, if your head has power over you, if you can't meditate, and if you don't have power over your brain, you can't fully communicate with spirit, then chances are you're communicating with the shadow instead, with ego, with a false concept of reality. Okay, so that'll be guided by ego, fear, money, those kinds of things. Judgment, expectations, it's because you're in your head. If you're doing something great and fear creeps in, it's because you're in your head. Okay, anxiety is not a natural part of ascension. Anxiety comes when there's layers to heal, and we've been stuck in waves of anxiety. Okay, so you do heal it, raise your vibration, heal it, call your power back. In order to connect with your higher self and spirit, you want to, number one, release separation and disconnect. Number two, get out of your head and get in your body. Okay. Number two, get out of your head and get in your body. Release all expectations, separation, lack, fear, and judgment. Just be open. If you cannot do that, your communication with spirit is not clear. I don't care who you are or what you want to tell me. I guarantee you it's not 100% clear. Can you have awakenings and communicate with spirit when you're not fully healed? Yes, you can. But are you always clear in spirit? No. Okay. It's a process, and you're supposed to continue healing, continue connecting, and continue learning. Okay, that's what they're there to help you do as well. Again, spirit cannot work to you, only through you. So they never do anything to us. It's only through us, even if our subconscious is more aware than our consciousness, our higher self. Okay? Your higher self is basically you in spirit. We have become separated to be here, and we're not supposed to be. So it's like there is an innate part of us helping to guide us and work through us that is fully connected, where we here have become not connected. Does that make sense? So in order to connect with your higher self, intend to connect with your higher self. You can see a beautiful cord going up from your heart space all the way up into the ethereal, and imagine it connecting to your totality of you. Or you can see a cord dropping down from above, from the totality of you, all the way down in and to you and through you and into the earth. Those are great ways to do it, to connect to your higher self. Okay? Next, you want to make sure you're grounded to the earth. So you want to be meditating. You want to get out of your brain. You want to calm your brain and calm your thoughts. And if you say, I can't, I don't want to hear that. Yes, you can. It's just an excuse to not put in effort. So you have given great effort to your thoughts and your brain. You need to turn around and give the same effort to meditating. And call your power back every time. Create a habit, okay? Create a healthy flow of doing that. And it takes practice, it takes time, it takes diligence, it takes commitment and discipline, okay? And excuses do not serve you. Excuses are just that. They are reasoning you tell yourself to justify your behavior that keep you in lack, okay? We're not wounded. We are not victims. It's because you gave your power away. Call it back. You're in charge. You're in control. Nothing works outside of you. Okay? So victimhood is a lie. You are not a victim. Nothing can do anything unless you let it. Even the shadow. Okay? So call your power back. Clear it out. Stand strong in who you are. Let go of expectations, judgment, ego, fear, greed. What is your intention? If what's more important to you is money and fame, you're not in it for the right reasons. I didn't do what I did for money and fame. I have gotten neither, pretty much of either one of those. I did it for love. I help people out of love. I get joy in serving God. I get joy in doing God's work. I get joy in God being proud of me. I get joy in alignment and strength and power and not giving up. I get joy in doing things others don't want to do. I get joy in giving love in ways and healing people in ways they never could imagine could be true. So what is your intention? Are you here to serve God or are you here to serve you? If you want to connect to spirit for means of greed, power, control, manipulation, justifications, they won't help you like you want them to, okay? But if you're here to do it out of heart, love, joy, flow, connection, feeling that love, connecting to spirit, being the conduit of spirit, if you do healings for people for you to look good, or if you do them for spirit to be able to use you to help people, that's the difference, okay? So number one, what is your intention? Because if it's not pure, it's going to block it. We're all connected, and that's what matters. You never judge people. If you want to be a healer and then you judge people for why they do what they do, you are not in a space of love. That means you're perfect, right? You may have had a different experience this lifetime, but trust me, you are not outside of what their experience is in any way. Okay? So I've met people who want to be a healer but judge people all the time. And you're not a healer if you do that. There's no way. Nobody's perfect. There is no perfection. You can't be whole in a broken world either. So there's nobody here perfect. And if people don't see things the way you see them, what does that make them? Less than you? No. Okay, so these are important things. These are what separate us from communication with spirit. Getting grounded, getting into your heart space, calming the mind, and raising your vibration. Releasing lack, separation, ego, fear, greed, judgment, and expectation. So you want to be an observer over a speculator. I'm not here to speculate. I'm here to observe. I don't know everything. As a master, I will tell you, I don't know everything. I'm here to master myself. I'm here to master and learn. However, everything I do is already in me. I didn't learn it from anybody but spirit telling me what I can do, and I did it. And it blew my mind. Because I didn't have expectations, fear, greed, judgment, nothing. I would just observe and be amazed and quite grateful. Okay? So the more you meditate, calm your mind, think less, feel more. The more you get into your heart space, remove wounds, fears, egos, and do not give your power away, the more you can communicate to spirit. The more you ground with the earth, stay grounded, stay clear. You can work through your chakras, clear those. Great. That's another key. Remaining in flow in the open channel. Okay? Being a pure open channel means you are just open. There's no expectations or judgments to what you can do. You just communicate. You be that channel. And you be grateful doing it. That's how you can open up to communicating with spirit. If you can do those things and remove all of those things, you're already able to communicate with spirit. The next thing would be your invocations. right? What are you invoking? What are you calling upon? I invoke the presence of Archangel Haniel to come with me and be with me in this space. I call you forth in heaven's grace through the grace of God and the light of love and all things beauty and communication. I invoke the presence of you, asking for it to be clear and to know that I know it's you without any hesitation and confusion, removing all doubt. Okay? And then once you invoke the presence, highest light in and highest light out only, always. Okay? The powers of the earth, the powers of light, the powers of all connectionness, and for the purpose of love. You can have a specific intention, like I would love you to give me this guidance, or I'm just open to what I need. I'm more of a general type of person because I know Spirit knows more than we do. When we get out of our own way and we let them guide us, we heal more than we ever thought we could. There's so many people who tell me, oh, I don't have any karma to heal. I don't have to heal my karma. You won't rise. We all have karma to heal. It's what you do outside of love. It's where you gave your power to the shadow. Okay? So to assume makes an ass out of you and me, right? We can't get through there. Light cannot get through assumptions. Never assume. Allow Spirit to guide you. You don't know. Do you also know all your lifetimes? No. So your job is to be open and observant. And what comes through, be gracious and amazed. And be willing to be that conduit for the help and the betterment of all involved and God. Okay, that's what it's about. I get so much joy out of that. I used to always tell God, send me who you want me to help. I was so happy to do that until a lot of people hurt me. And then it kind of broke me a little. It did. A lot of people were really bad to me on this journey. So I work now to forgive all that and heal that and rise again to the love that I am. No matter what other people do to you, it shouldn't change who you are. Okay? Because not everybody's going to be able to understand what you do or why. It's not about that. If you're looking for validations from other people, that is a false concept. We never do that because people can't see past their shadow. So they're going to throw their shadow at you. They're going to judge you. And if you let other people's judgment stop you, then you are that judgment. You become that judgment. Okay? After you do all that, set your invocations. For any angel, I call forth this being. I call for any beings of light. Make sure it's beings of light, highest light in and highest light out only. Okay? And clear anything that doesn't feel right. So you want to be able to feel. Because if you can't feel, it's not just about seeing. A lot of people will go, I can't see in my mind's eye. No, not yet, but you will be someday. Okay? You want to feel. We need to be able to use all of our senses. So I get chills, you'll feel, you'll see, you'll sense, you feel it usually first. And angel presence is like a, you know, like a, anything outside of light is going to feel a little different than what light feels coming in. Okay, and it's not through our head. So you have to have a quiet mind. Now, Spirit will use different tools to communicate. They use colors, frequencies, energies, smells, tones, feelings, and synchronicity. So they will use the frequencies of the earth around you, sounds, noises, people. They will use people whose heart is open. So you can never convince anybody. They have to hear it from the heart space. So Spirit and God will use those whose heart is open and are willing to follow the nudges of the heart. So I've had random people come to me and just say, I just felt a nudge to do this. And I'm like, I asked God for that like 2 days ago. And a random person from my past I hadn't talked to in years, or somebody I didn't even know, would all of a sudden come up to me and go, you know, I just felt this need to say this to you. And I'm like, you're communicating with God, because I asked for that like 2 days ago and you don't even know that. Okay? So that's another thing God will use. God doesn't use ego and things outside of ego. So if you're like, ooh, that person's gross, God wouldn't send that person. You are in judgment, and it's probably a reflection of you. Everything's a reflection of you. Okay? So, you with me so far? If you have any questions, comment those below, and I can do another video at any time on this. I know I'm going fast, and there's a lot of information. Some of you might already be aware of, some might not be. But either way, there might be something you didn't know. Synchronicities are frequencies of numbers. They have specific meanings, but also individual meanings. They are a baseline communication. Numbers are a baseline communication with spirit. Okay. Mediumship is a whole nother level, but also similar. Like their mouths don't move. You communicate with spirit similarly across the board. Imagery, feelings, associations. Like I'll get little personality insights. Sometimes they'll show me what they're wearing, their personality, how they see you through their eyes oftentimes comes through, those kinds of things. And I communicate with spirit on a whole different level, but when you take it to baseline, like people will learn how to use symbolism. That's a big form. So even angels, spirit connects through symbolism. Okay, that's why throughout history you see a lot of chiseled symbolisms all over, because we didn't used to have communication like this. Languages were quite different. Language of God is what I speak a lot, and that's so it's not quite a normal light language. It's returned. So it wasn't here before the return for a long time, right? So there's light languages, there's these kinds of things. And so there's different forms of communication. When you use light worker, light language, and symbolism, it can be open to the interpreter. Same with numbers. And so if you're with somebody that thinks about what they're getting from spirit, it's not a pure communication. I never think about what I get from spirit. Even in my healings, when I do with people, I spew it out as it comes, because then otherwise it wouldn't be pure. If I don't know something, which a lot of times I don't when it deals with medical stuff in the body, I'm not a doctor. I know anatomy and things like that, but it's still different. Like I can see the entirety of your body. I can see all diseases and how they're formed. And as I go through the body, I heal them in the layers they're created. And so I say these things I had no idea existed, but I don't usually stop and think. I don't want to think about it, because then I'm tainting what I'm getting. Then it becomes part of my ego and part of what I think it should be. If you cannot give messages to others exactly the way they come in without worrying how the receiver receives it, it's not a pure channel, and don't do it. Okay? Because then you're not giving them your job is not to be their psychologist. Your job is to help them heal through spirit. So we become the pure channel, and we have to step outside of ourselves. It's not about you when you're doing it for others. It's about them. So you don't know why they're saying what they're saying. You don't know what it means for them. It's not your job to decipher it. So this is why I don't like people asking me questions or stopping me mid-center. Write it down and ask me in the end, and we can see what spirit says. If it's medically related, we will Google it. Like, what is ketones? What is, this, that, and the other. And sometimes it's like a step above what they even know, okay? And I'm mind blown every time. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know the brain could do that. Whoa, I didn't know the body. And it's like, boom. And then I see these people heal, like all kinds of crazy things, okay? So when we step outside of our own way, it's a whole different ball game. You never want to assume. You only want to observe, and you only want to be the pure channel. So even for yourself, if you are starting to communicate with spirit and things come in, you don't want to assume you know, and don't always Google. Okay? First, you want to allow spirit to show you what it means for you, because there is a general form of communication, and then there's an individual one. You have your own path, your own purpose, the way you connect to the world around you, the way your body relates, the way your emotions flow. It's all individual to you. So if I Google 1111 and I'm like, oh, cool, this is what that means, may not be accurate for you at that time. So do I Google sometimes? Sometimes, but I will go for what I feel connects. Okay? But it's baseline. And so when you learn to communicate with spirit more, those numbers, you'll take it a whole different way. Okay, it becomes a whole different form of communication. But baseline, it's definitely a communication. It's not just a synchronicity. It's not just an alignment. It's literally the universe communicating to you. And they will use those forms of communication. Spirit, your higher self, God, the angels. Okay, so other people, music, billboards. I, one time, had a person cut me off with a license plate that said Juniper Bloom. No joke. This was way back when I first connected to my first divine masculine. And I was battling the feeling of needing to smoke pot at the time. So temptations, God asked me to quit. That's the only thing I did. Turns out he did a lot worse, and I didn't know that. But God asked me to quit when I woke in, and I'm like, okay. And then anytime I would get close to my DM or something would happen, I would get these horrible, horrible cravings that were really, really hard to control. And one time I was succumbing to it, and I was on my way to the store because where I live, it's legal. And literally this white, and I took a picture of it. I have it somewhere in all my photos. This white car, because I was like, no shit. That was Spirit telling me so loud. This white car suddenly cut me off because I wasn't listening to Spirit. I'm like, I don't care. You know, I'm tired of suffering. And it's like the DM didn't care, so I didn't care. And so I was just kind of giving up in that moment. And this white car cut me off, hit its brakes, and all I could see was that license plate, and it said Juniper Bloom. And I was like, that's what Spirit calls me. Like, how could it be any more in my face? Okay, Spirit. So sometimes they'll move it up a notch if we're choosing not to hear them. Then if we still continue not to hear, we become blinded to Spirit. Okay? So the moment you choose to cut off that communication is the moment you become blind to Spirit. If Spirit puts something in soul growth in your path and you're like, nope, and you throw judgment instead or something else, then at that moment you become stunted and blinded. Okay? So then you got to go back to where you did that and clear it all again. It's true. Dig out of that dark hole, I call it. So they will use whatever they can use, whatever you pay attention to, whatever gets your attention to communicate with you. Symbols are huge, okay? It's another line of communication. Color, symbols, energy, feeling, goosebumps, tingles, dreams. I actually am mastering dreams in the psychology field for hypnotism and stuff, for clinical purposes and therapeutic purposes. However, on a spiritual side, I know they're not fully connected to that because I know Spirit also communicates through dreams and how they do it and why. So, but no matter what, dreams are very specific in what they do and the purposes of them, and there's different layers of dreaming. So it's very important to pay attention to your dreams because they tell you a lot of things. Okay, they're not usually just random sometimes, but not usually. They have purpose. What else? So intentions and vocations are everything. What is your purpose of doing it? The Akasha Records is available to all of us in our heart space, but you have to get to it through the light now. Nothing can be done outside of pure light now. Okay, so if you're still in the matrix, you're not fully connected anymore. You will be cut off from the light. We can't be duality anymore. So that's also very important to remember. Okay, so if some people you knew were no longer connected, there's called reverse awakenings. That may be happening at this time. Because we are ascending, we are being reborn as a species, and we must do it through the light of the One. The masculine and feminine, and the sun and the moon. What's up, moon? Are you waking up my little puffers? Huh? Am I forgetting anything? Let me see. No matter what communications you get, write them down. You're going to learn to communicate with Spirit. It is a language you're learning. It is steps in learning progress, and we don't want to be speculative. We don't want to assume we understand the message. You want to write everything down and allow Spirit to show you and it full circle into the totality of what it means, because it's going to be different every time. Okay? I have noticed a lot of people assume they know everything. And even if you've been connecting to Spirit, you need to erase what you know. He's playing with my hair. You see this? My hair's moving. What are you doing, my love? You like my hair? He's waking up. He's like, I'm done sleeping. I'm about ready for my lunch, Mom. But wait, it's only like 9. You're cute. Did you fart it? You gotta go potty? Oh, you're gonna clean your eyes with my hair? Well, thank you. Anyways. So, never assume, only observing and learning the way Spirit's going to communicate with you. There is a baseline general communication across the board. Numbers, colors, symbols, frequencies, sounds, people. But then there is the individual communication with Spirit. Okay? So you want to learn how to communicate with them at your level, and you cannot just start and jump to where somebody else is. I have people do this all the time, and I realize they're copying me. They're mimicking, and they're not truly connected. That's not a connection. You can lie to yourself all you want, but if it's a true connection, it's going to be a true connection, okay? You're going to be learning. It's going to be weird. It's going to be foreign, like riding a bike. You can feel vulnerable. If you don't understand it, ask Spirit. Nothing can come to us only through us. Any miracles, anything only comes through us. Spirit can only work through us. When we were in separation, we wouldn't even know the angels existed if people like me didn't speak them through. Okay? So don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Because anything outside of love will cut you off. If you can't communicate, there's times where we're in a void and we're supposed to just be, still do the work. Make sure you're in flow. Make sure your chakras are open. Make sure you're grounded, right? Because even when we're open some ways, we can still hear spirit. It just be a little foggy, but you need to know what's light and what's not. Okay? You need to know when you're in your head and when you're not, because if you're coming from your head, it's ego-based. It's not love. It's not pureness. It's not the pure messages. And a lot will get in. If you're putting in your opinions about things, if you're thinking about the messages, well, that came through, but I think I should say it like this. Or what if they don't, you're not a pure channel and you shouldn't be giving messages until you can be. Because if somebody is coming to you to get a communication from spirit, they don't want your opinion. That's not why they're there. They're coming to you to receive a message pure from source because you say you can. Or maybe their heart nudged them to. But the last thing they want is your opinion and judgments from you. Now, the receiver also has a hard time being pure and open to some of those messages, so you never want to give somebody a message without them asking you for it. This is why some remote viewers, I don't believe what they're doing. I do what Spirit calls quantum jumping, is what you call remote viewing. But when people do remote viewing without permission of others, if they're going in and viewing something from somebody else without calling in their higher self and spirit and God, and they just think they're doing these things, they think they're in these spaces, it's somewhat based out of their ego, and it's not through free will, and that's sketch. Okay? So always make sure the receiver and the one giving is pure in heart and intent as well. And if they're in their heart space, they're not in flow with spirit. And it's not an accurate message. It's what they interpret it to be, or they think it should be. And sometimes it's copying. I have seen people copy me. One time in my beginning of my journey, I had this person message me and they're like, hey, I have this guy coming over and I want to impress him, but I don't feel confident in giving messages. Can you give him a message and I'll pretend it's from me? And I was like, no, that's outside of spirit. I cannot do that. That's not a pure message. That's a lie. So you have to work within the light to deliver from the light. You have to be of light to heal in the light. Okay? What are your intentions? And why? And this little guy slept the whole time until now, and now he's like, hey, yo, listen here. Listen here, I gotta go potty. You gotta go potty? You smell dinky minky. You smell dinky minky. Say hi, Moon. He's so sweet. I got a new friend. His name is Moon. Isn't he cute? He's so cute. And he's done. So I'm done, y'all. If you have any questions, post them below. I can do another video later, too. I hope this helps some of you, even those who are seasoned. I hope it helps you. If we don't do things from the divine masculine and the divine feminine of the new earth, the sun and the moon, aligned to the eye of Horus and the eye of Ra with an open heart, you're not communicating through source anymore. We cannot be duality anymore. Bye-bye, everybody. Say bye-bye from Moon. He's going to go go potty and go eat and all that jazz. And play and explore and hunt and gather. All right. I'll see you guys later. Hasta la vista.